Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. You'll have seen in my last video, I sent my car to Sam Lander Porsche. It was sent in to do the sump repair, but while it was in there, he did find a number of other things that were wrong. The main ones being the bald tyre that was bald on the inside, which was impressive to say the least. I do actually take care of my car and I do pay attention to my tyres, but this was the very inside edge. It clearly been rubbing against something, well we know that now. The camber bolt on the car was loose, so that had to be tightened up. It had a full four-wheel alignment, 2 new rear tyres, the gearbox sump was done, it had bits and bobs greased up to prevent corrosion and to help, like, bit of preventive maintenance if you will. And the last thing they noticed was the headlight level sensors, or the levelers, were broken. They were completely sheared off. These corrode on the inside and just break away. So he recommended changing those. I have noticed over the past few weeks that when I've been driving along, especially coming up hills, people have been flashing me coming the other way. So clearly there was something wrong. I didn't notice, but the headlights weren't actually leveling on a morning, so they do need doing. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the parts till today, so we're on our way back there now to get the headlight levelers fitted and also get the all-important bill, because in the last video I said I was going back to get the bill because he hadn't had the invoice from the tyre place. He couldn't do the bill, so he said pop it back, let's get the levelers fitted and he can settle the bill then. Now I will say I timed taking the Porsche to Sam Lander with perfection. We're about to head up for the North Coast 500, a 516 mile drive around the north coast of Scotland. Most of it single track, some of it probably sketchy at points, and a proper test of durability of a car. In order to get to the start of the North Coast 500 in Inverness, it's a 7-hour drive from where I live. We're going to be completing over 1,300 miles during our time in Scotland. It's a hell of a car breaker and it's a hell of a test of endurance on a car, so I'm very keen to make sure that this car is in perfect condition. And when I popped into Sam for the sump, because we thought maybe that would affect the reliability on the journey, if it decided to drop all its gearbox oil, that would be us tapping out of the journey. While it was in there, he realised there was a number of other things that needed doing, and thankfully he's been able to do them all, so we should have a very, very pleasant journey. And initial reports on what has been done so far, of course the camber bolt being loose did make the car feel a little bit wobbly. I've spoken about this in numerous videos so far, while I've been trying to get to the bottom of it, thinking there is a chance this could be the bushings, it could be a shock absorber, it could be something. And when everything was checked over, he said none of it's actually that bad, and although you probably could do with some bushings, it's not the cause of the wobbliness. The wobbliness is down to the fact that the suspension wasn't screwed together properly. So great fun, and yeah, I did the Nürburgring with a loose camber bolt. It's a bit worrying really, but anyway, we made it. I didn't crash, Misha didn't crash, and we're home safe. Since getting that bolt sorted out, I have to say that it's night and day. This car is handling with absolute perfection. There's no wobbliness, it's hitting bumps and riding over them just like it used to. It stays very level. Yes, it's still comfortable, but some of the firmness of the ride, which I did enjoy about the car, has come back. And wow, what a difference it has made. I'm so happy with the work they've done at Sam Lander Porsche, and their attention to detail and finding all these little things and putting them right is why I go there. But anyway, we're on the way now to get these levelers fitted, so I will check in with you once we've got the levelers fitted and I've got the all-important bill, which I'm not expecting to be cheap at all. So stay tuned to find out how much my Porsche's cost me this time. Right, so that is the levelers fitted, the headlights working perfectly, and we checked them just before we went. A massive shout out to Sam at Sam Lander Porsche. He's done an incredible job with this car, and although the bill is massive, as you will see, I don't think, considering everything that's been done, it's all that bad. And considering the way the car's transformed, and obviously giving me a little bit more reliability when I take on this massive journey around Scotland, I think it's a small price to pay. What I'll do now is I'll go through the bill, I will tell you everything that's been done, and then I'll give you the total at the end. You probably should be sitting down, it's rather big. When you consider this car only cost me 14 grand, not that many years ago, these sort of bills just show how expensive Porsche ownership is. But seeing as I don't have finance on this car, when you spread that across a 12-month period, this is kind of like its big bill for the year. Works out not too bad at all. So you'll have seen in a previous video, not the last one, the one before, when it went into Sam Lander, he noticed the gearbox was really like stiff, the gear stick wouldn't move, the selector had an issue. So he swapped that out, he had a selector, he swapped it, so he's added that onto this bill. I just paid for the part, I didn't pay for any labour on that one. They replaced the sump pan. The gearbox oil and filter kit, of course, when you take the sump off, you need new filters, or the oil, that's not cheap. The level sensor link rods, there was one of those for the front, and there was one of those for the rears, just one on each. The front left-hand cut, front left and rear left as well, there's one on each. It had two Michelin PS4 S's fitted, one was bolted to the core and the other one wasn't, like a million miles off, and given that I'm going on this massive journey, it's really important to have fresh rubber. The front are okay, they're not great, but they're going to be fine for the journey, and because this car's so light on its front tyres, they're going to last a good few thousand miles yet. It had to have four-wheel alignment. Two reasons for that really. One, when you're taking off most of the rear of the car, which is all the bracing underneath it, and you're accessing the sump, you're going to knock things out of alignment, makes sense to do it. But also the fact that the rear tyre was bald on the inside gave us question marks over their alignment, so they decided to redo that. Thank God they did, because that's when they found the bolt loose. They greased up other things underneath the car, so the brake lines, they pulled under the plastic covers and they greased up underneath there. They also painted the wheel bolts, lots of grease on things to prevent rust, and yeah, they just went over the car with a fine-tooth comb, and I can't even begin to describe how meticulous these guys were. It was really good to see, and it gives me so much more confidence with the car. It did also have a corroded rear brake pipe, so the one on the rear left is okay, not great, but the one on the right was too far gone. They needed to replace that, so they put a new brake pipe on, and of course, a little bit of brake fluid. The rest of it was labour. As you can imagine, all this took quite a while to do. The car was in more or less all day. So the cost of all this work being completed on my old Porsche was £1,701. So what do you think? Do you think that was good? I don't think it was that bad when you think about how much is done. A few things to note is that the Michelin PS4 S's, just for the rear set alone, is £478 of that bill. That's just for the tyres. The tyres for these cars are very expensive. These are 19-inch wheels by 265, so they're a big old tyre, and I always put the best on it. And they last, so they're not actually that bad value. The other expensive thing is, of course, the gearbox oil and the servicing kit that comes with that, around £150. There's a lot of oil, filters, and it's not something you tend to do, so I'm quite glad that it's been serviced, and it feels totally different since they've done that. But nothing was actually that expensive. The tyres made up the bulk of that cost, the rest was labour. None of the other parts were overly expensive, so if you could do all this work yourself, you'd probably save a lot of money. The garage charges £76 an hour, and they spent 7 hours on the car, so you'd save all that if you could do it yourself. This isn't something that I ever planned to do, because when you take your car in, and yeah, changing the sump would be quite simple, and even when I looked at it, I thought even I could probably do that. It's the other bits you don't notice. It's the camber bolt loose that you don't notice. It's the brake pipe. So it's worth taking the car in to get an expert to look at it and look after the car, ensuring you pick up all those little bits along the way. That's the sort of thing that I worry about if I work on my own car. Yes, I may achieve the job I've set to do, but I'm going to miss all the important stuff, which is not what you want to be doing. So what do we all think? Do you think that was more or less than you expected? I really do like doing these sort of videos, giving you an update on what it costs to look after this car. At the end of the day, I think most of my subscribers do actually take their cars to garages. Some of you main dealer, some of you independents. And it's a really good thing to share the cost of it. these cars are quite cheap to buy, but this goes to show that they do cost a lot to run, a lot more than your everyday hatchback. For example, my Golf GTI, which is a quick car and a quite expensive car when it came out, costs maybe 1/10 of that to run. Nothing ever goes wrong with it. When it does, it's cheap, and it's just a different ball game. When you're running around in an 18-year-old Porsche, things are just going to cost a lot of money. And sometimes it's a little bit of a surprise. It's something I've got used to since owning it. The bills are large. I'm not complaining about it. I just like to share what it costs, because few people will look at these and think, 15 grand? That's the same price as a Fiesta. It is, until you take it to a garage and it costs you 2 grand and you weren't really expecting it, because I wasn't expecting that bill. I didn't know half of this was wrong with the car. I didn't even tend to get tyres this time. I was hoping the tyres were going to last for the NC500. They clearly weren't, because they were bald to the core, or at least one of them was. But I don't think it was actually that bad. Yes, it was a large bill, but I think when you consider all the work they put into it, their labour rate being considerably less than a Porsche main dealer, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. This bill would have easily been £1,000 more at Porsche main dealer, easily. And I don't know how meticulous they are compared with Sam. Sam just puts a level of attention into detail into the cars which I've never come across in a garage. And I'll certainly be using him again. I'm really happy with the work he's done. I'm not sure when this video will get uploaded, but you'll notice behind me there is a pair of helmets. Sam has also invited me to join him at Croft for a track day. I won't be taking the car out, but we'll be going out in some of the cars that he brings with him, and hopefully a few others. It'll be really good to experience a track day from the pit lane, so I'm super excited for that. I've got my helmet ready and I'm good to go. So that will be coming very, very shortly. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's just a little quick update, midweek upload on basically the running costs of this car. It may come as no surprise to a lot of you that it's cost this much yet again, but I think it will surprise some. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you've enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for plenty more videos like this one and many, many others. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.